All right, I'll say good day. We now deliver the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Step 3, where we introduce a specific action in the form of a communication to the officials on your planet having to do with the idea of the revelation of information connected to what you term UFOs, UAPs, and extraterrestrial activities, information, and knowledge. We have crafted a specific letter for you to send out. We have transmitted this through the channel with very specific wording. The wording of this letter should be given out verbatim, so it is up to you to copy it intact, adding nothing, subtracting nothing. It will serve a very specific purpose of timing for things that are to come up in your near future and build a momentum of energy that can lead toward the acceleration of the probability of open contact on your planet. But again, it is up to you to decide to participate in sending this letter out in the way that it is instructed to do so. But again, the degree to which you are willing to participate in this will determine the vibrational state that is conducive to the idea of open contact and being in alignment with the Interstellar Alliance. Again, completely in your hands as to what degree you participate in this. But there are specific reasons for the timing of this as instructed in the letter, and the way in which it is presented, how it is worded. There are things that it will connect to. There are chords, in a sense, that it will strike within different people in very specific ways. We have, to some degree, in a limited fashion, done a similar experiment with you before as a kind of beta test to see how many people would participate. And this leads us to the creation of this version of it now that we are actually in the Interstellar Alliance social experiment. And this takes the form of step 3 to increase your activity, your physical activity, your engagement, your involvement in your world, specifically along these lines, specifically in this vibration, in this energy, to again gauge the degree of willingness that you have to present yourself in a certain way, to establish yourself within a certain frequency, within a certain vibration, and to state clearly from your particular perspective as an individual member of the Interstellar Alliance, the things that are relevant and important for activities in the world, for directions to be taken, for actions to be taken on your part and the part of others that will allow more probability to bring about the idea of open contact and to accelerate the timing of such. And so, to this purpose, in the delivering of step 3, Nania, I will ask you to read the Interstellar Social Experiment Step 3 out loud to share with all, and allow them to know that a download of this will be available for them to use in the way that it is instructed within what you are about to read. So please proceed.
Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment, Step 3. Send the following letter by email or regular mail to every government representative in Congress, Senate and House, and all party members, as well as to the presidents, premiers, scientific, military, and political leaders of every country on Earth every 3 months until they take action as requested. And the letter should say, Dear, and you name the person, despite military, scientific, and political statements to the contrary, we believe that UFOs or UAPs do not represent a threat of any kind to national or global security or humanity at large. There is overwhelming and well-researched evidence and thousands of eyewitness accounts that these objects have been present throughout Earth's history without detrimental effect on the day-to-day affairs of humanity. Without supporting or promoting any related conspiracy theories, we believe that certain organizations are withholding knowledge of this phenomenon out of an irrational fear and for self-serving reasons. It's time for the secrets to end and a program of transparent public education to begin in service to humanity. Therefore, we respectfully but strongly request that you, in your official capacity, immediately and publicly disclose and release, within 1 year from your receipt of this letter, any and all information in your possession, or that you are aware of being in another person's possession, regarding UFOs, UAPs, and any and all indications of extraterrestrial life, activities, and technologies, and that you publicly state your support for the complete release of all such information without limitation, editing, redaction, ridicule, or falsification. Please be aware the members of this social movement intend to vote for and elect only those leaders and representatives who publicly and actively support and promote such disclosure, and with our votes, replace all officials who do not. Thank you. And this is from the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Group.
Thank you, Nania. When this download is made available to you, again, you may copy it, send it out as requested every 3 months, and when enough people do this, and the officials continue to receive these letters over and over and over again, and you allow yourself to do your research with regard to who is willing to support this idea publicly, and to ensure and assure that your votes will change those representatives should they not follow the requests involved in this transmission, then we will see how on your planet the idea of public opinion, the idea of public preference, the idea of the ability of the public to, as you say, move the needle on a subject in a direction that you prefer, will take effect to whatever degree you participate, to whatever degree you understand that you are your governments, to whatever degree that you will stand up and declare for yourself the ideas that are connected to the larger galactic family to which you belong, and your passion at experiencing the vibration of contact, the vibration of the Interstellar Alliance, and the changes that you may make in shifting to versions of Earth that are more and more and more representative with each transmission you send out, to act as a navigational tool to move you in the direction of the version of Earth that will be more and more and more representative of open contact, so that you may experience an acceleration toward that end. So it is of critical importance for those willing to participate that you allow yourself to send it out. We understand again that some of these challenges may require action on your part. You may need to rearrange some schedules in order to send them out to all of the individuals that are suggested within the letter. But again, the degree to which you are willing to participate, the degree of fullness to which you participate will make a difference, and the degree to which a lot of those individuals will receive these transmissions will also let them know what the general population prefers and what the general population will support or not support in moving forward toward the end of open contact. So, every 3 months is sufficient, considering the volume of the letters that will be sent out again and again, the same letters over and over. You will eventually see an effect. And we will be watching, we will be gauging, we will be observing, again, as a barometer, to what degree the needle is moving toward open contact and away from fear and secrecy. So we thank you for your participation ahead of time. And in return for your willingness to participate in this social experiment and your willingness to take action on step 1, step 2, and step 3, for remember, you do not stop doing the original steps. You keep doing everything as best you can, and you add to it with every step that we deliver to you. So, in return for this, I ask you now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and your dialogue if you wish.
Hello, Bashar. Good day to you. I remember you stating in a previous transmission that once a person makes a change, it is a complete change, and that change includes the person's past, present, and future, and also that you never were that person. My question is, why is it that ourselves and those who are close to us remember the past of the former version, especially if it is something that may not be preferred? Thank you for your time.
Because it is still something you're creating in the present that is relevant. That's why. You create the history over and over and over in the present as long as elements of it remain relevant to the theme that you're choosing to explore. So even though you're not the same person and you don't have the same history, you are recreating something similar every moment as long as it remains relevant to your theme.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you so much. I just had a couple of questions, and thank you for being willing to interact with me. I appreciate it.
It is our passion and our pleasure to do so.
I was wondering if my daughter and or I are hybrids, and you may or may not be willing to answer that question.
All humans are hybridized. There is no such thing as a human that is not. But you are not hybrids in the sense of the ones that live on spaceships. You are not hybrids in the sense of the ones that are created through the hybridization program. But many humans have had genetic alterations by having encounters in different layers of reality that hybridize you further. But the idea is that you are not the hybrids being created on the spaceships in the hybridization program, but you are part of the hybridization program that is going on Earth for the evolutional purpose of humanity.
Thank you. Do I have a specific gift or one that needs to be remembered or awakened in this lifetime?
Well, what are you passionate about doing?
I don't know. This seems to be a very...
All right. Remember that when we ask you what you're passionate about, It doesn't have to be a life-spanning career or a large-scale project. We assume right now that you are having this conversation with us because this was the most exciting choice you could make at this particular moment. Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, that's all you have to do. When this conversation is over, look at all the regular options available to you, the ordinary options, and just pick the one that has even just a little bit more attractiveness, more curiosity, more excitement, more passion in it than any other, even just by a little bit, and act on that first. Take it as far as you can till you can take it no further. When the excitement naturally wanes and you make sure you're not the one dampening the excitement, then you look for the next thing that contains more excitement than anything else and act on it next. And you just keep doing that. Then it will usually snowball into bigger and bigger opportunities to act on your excitement. And then you will be following the formula and being of service to humanity in that way. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yes. Thank you.
So it's not a big mystery. It's not difficult to do. Just do it a step at a time. Keep it simple. And it will build and bring you, through synchronicity, more opportunities to act on your excitement, possibly in bigger and bigger ways. Yes?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's how it works. So does that remove the mystery? Does that remove any confusion?
Yes.
All right. Is that something that you believe you can do?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sir. So formal.
Sorry, it's a habit.
All right, ma'am.
In this lifetime or in my dreams, I've interacted with several different types of beings, and I'm wondering why there are so many different forms. I feel like some people have just one that they focus in on, be they past souls or something like that. Am I meant to interact with a particular type, or am I just...
You all have many different guides and many different connections. Sometimes one will be predominant, but at other times others will take turns based on the reason why they're connecting to you, the reason why they're helping you, whatever your connection may be with them, and of course based on their skill set as well, because different guides have different skills, different reasons for assisting you. So it just depends on what's going on at any given moment in your life as to who you may attract to be of assistance to you, be it an extraterrestrial being, an extra-dimensional being, a spirit guide, a member of your soul family, a parallel reality version of yourself that is aware of how to connect with you in this way. It can shift and change dynamically all the time. Some people will maintain a connection to maybe one specific version of a guide, but that doesn't mean it's always the case.
Thank you. And one of those was, maybe it sounds odd, maybe it doesn't, was a mechanical spider. It sounds very strange, but it was above my face while I was sleeping, and I awoke feeling it right above my face at two different points in my life. And it was one entity being thing that actually created a lot of fear in me because I was not expecting it to be there, and I didn't know if it felt real in the moment. But I realized you said that when we're sleeping, we're awake, and we're awake, we're sleeping, essentially. So I'm just wondering if you know the purpose of why it presented itself to me.
Well, it is a projection of consciousness that took the form that you say gave you an opportunity to experience fear within you. So it allowed you to practice transforming that fear.
Got it.
It gave you an opportunity to do so.
Because I find that now I don't have fear when I come across any of the different entities when I'm sleeping or astral projecting or whatever it is.
All right, well, there you go.
Curiosity.
Yes, well, it gave you an opportunity through a representation of what you would have a fear reaction for to exercise your ability to transform that fear and let it go.
Okay, well, that's simple enough. And those are all the questions that I had.
All right, well, we thank you for the co-creation of this interaction this day of your time. Our unconditional love to you. Aveo.
Thank you. Aveo.
Hi, Bashar. My name is Tamara, and my question is in regards to my mother who passed away in 2015. And ever since she died, I have periodically had really bad nightmares about her. I've never had an instance where she's come to me in a really, kind of magical, mystical way with the white light and telling me that she's okay and all of that. All of the dreams have been very negative and very scary. She's told me several times in my dreams that she doesn't know where she is. She's scared, she's alone, and that's really upset me. And I don't know how to get her out of there, or if I even can from where I stand in the physical. So if you could tell me where she is, and if she's not in a good place, if I could help her get to somewhere that is good, because my mom was a really good person when she was on planet Earth in the physical. Thank you.
She is in spirit and she is fine. What you are experiencing is a reflection of something going on within you about your own fears. She's bringing them out in you, but it's not about her, it's about you. We cannot go deeply into this if we cannot communicate more directly with this person at this time, because there are things we would need to explore in depth. But it's not about her, it's about you, and something she is attempting to get you to look at that is a fear within yourself, in your belief system. She is fine.
Good day, Bashar.
Good day. What would you like to discuss this day?
Sure. So I guess I have a couple questions. Probably sound a little bit weird, but a couple months ago I had, I guess I was awake in bed. I looked over at my wife, on my wife's side, and the pillow turned into almost like a face. And it was very distinct. It was a man's face with a big beard. And at the time I didn't know who that was or anything. And I ended up looking it up, and it looked like it was the face of like an Anunnaki. Or when I looked at it further, it kind of showed that it was Enki, I believe. And it looked at me and it said, no, no, no. Now, I wasn't fearful or scared or anything. I was just kind of like in a bit of shock. So I looked at it, and then I realized later it wasn't saying no, no, no. It was saying no, 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 like as in
K-N-O-W.
Yeah. And I
Yes.
guess my first question is why did I see that? What does that all mean? What's it trying to tell me? What do I need to know?
Well, you were in the proper state to receive direct communication from another level, from interdimensional spirit realms that allow you to know that you can be more than you are, that you are more than you are as a physical being, that you're connecting to the guides that you have, connecting to the information and knowledge that you need to know. How did it feel vibrationally?
I mean, I guess I was kind of shocked, just like trying to talk myself that what I was seeing was real and that it wasn't made up or anything.
All
Yeah.
right. But I'm not asking you how you felt emotionally. How did you feel vibrationally?
I guess I felt kind of excited.
All right. Then remember that feeling, because that's the vibrational state to come from in all the actions you do in life that are representative of your truth, your passion, who you really are. They're giving you an opportunity to recognize what your true vibrational state is, your natural state, your core essential vibration. So, and it's also a reminder of the ancient wisdom, which is why it kind of came in a representation of a very ancient form. Know thyself, K-N-O-W. So the idea is the more you know yourself, the more you will be your true self, the more you will express your true self, the more you will constantly operate on that vibrational state that was reflected to you in that moment when you were kind of out of the way, when your physical mind was willing to open up and allow you to receive that particular reminder, that particular reflection at that time.
Okay, perfect. So then this brings me back to another experience that I had in my mid-20s. Again, I was in bed. My wife was beside me. Her father had just passed away. So at the time, I saw a figure in the room. It was very tall with long fingers. It walked over to my wife's side of the bed. And again, I was trying to question myself whether I was seeing things or not. And then I saw the pillow move, and I knew right away that this was real. And I woke her up and told her about it. And then later on, after I started following some of the stuff you were saying, I'm not sure if it was her dad that I was seeing, but if it was maybe something else. I was hoping you could shed some light on that.
It was something else. The father energy was present as well, but what you were seeing was something else that has to do with extra dimensional and extraterrestrial connections and participation in what we call the hybridization agenda and the evolution of humanity.
So was that me being a participant in that, or was that my wife being a participant in that?
At the moment, your wife at that time, okay. But your awareness of it is because you are participating in another way.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. In the last several weeks, I heard you speak in Sedona, and since then we've had multiple sightings of flashing lights. Once in Sedona and 3 times in Kelowna, BC, where I live. And I'm just wondering, why am I seeing this so much lately? Including my wife and my family are seeing it too now. We're all seeing it in.
Because you allowed yourself to wake up to the fact that there is a different reality around you that was heretofore invisible. Anytime that you're willing to expand your consciousness, your senses expand along with it to allow you to see what is around you all the time, but most people don't ordinarily see.
So these aren't ships that I'm seeing, right? They're
Yes, some of them are. Some of them can be entities unto themselves. There's a lot of traffic and a lot of activity around your planet. It's just that most people don't see it because they're not on the same wavelength.
Okay.
But once your senses expand, once your senses sharpen, then you can see things that you couldn't see before. That becomes what you call your new normal.
And my senses can be sharpened further by practicing the formula, I assume.
Well, yes, by acting on it, yes.
Okay.
If that is what you mean by practicing.
Yes. May I ask one more question after this question?
Go ahead. And thank you for your cleverness.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just trying to be, I wasn't trying to be clever. I just wanted to make sure that,
That was not an admonition.
Okay.
It was a compliment.
Oh, thank you. So my last question was, again, I live in Kelowna, BC, on the Okanagan Lake, and here there's tales of the Ogopogo. And again, our family has felt like we've seen a few instances where we've seen it. Is the legend of the Ogopogo real? Is it harmful to us?
It is not harmful to you. It is real, but again, you're dealing with interdimensional beings that can come and go, which is why it is seen so infrequently.
So
similar to the idea of Sasquatch and Yeti.
Okay. Have I seen it lately? Like, is that real what I'm seeing then, like in the water?
Sometimes. Sometimes it is a trick of the light. Sometimes it is an alteration of perception into a different reality and not in yours. So you have to be able to discern and tell the difference, what reality you're looking at. And sometimes it's in what you consider to be your typical reality. So it just depends.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Bashar.
Our unconditional appreciation to you as well. Aveo.
Aveo.
Hello, Bashar. I'm wondering if you can provide me information about a species of extraterrestrial beings I met during an astral projection. I saw a male and female of this race. They were very, very lean, extremely low body fat, and dense, ripped muscles on their arms. They had ridges along the side of their face, and they were wearing a black and yellow garment that looked sort of like leather, and it reminded me of the fusion jacket from Dragon Ball Z. It also had ridges along the arms. The fusion jacket is interesting because that makes me think, well, maybe these are hybrids, as they're alluding to fusion. And I'd also like to comment that the name Varya came to me, and I'm wondering maybe these beings are connected to the Virgo constellation. Please expand if you can. Thanks.
What you were given is a projection, an interpretation. You are not seeing the beings as they actually are. This is a race of beings we are not allowed to discuss at this time, but that you are connected to. It does have to do with Virgo, but that's all we can say. But what you saw is not exactly what they are. It was made up of an interpretation of things from your mind so that you would have something to relate to. These encounters can continue, and you may gain more familiarity with them over time. But it is not our job to discuss this further.
Hello.
Good day, good day.
Good day, Bashar. I'm so excited to see you.
We thank you. It is our passion and our pleasure to interact with you as well. What would you like to discuss?
So my first question is, which which extraterrestrial race do I have? Do I have any connections with any extraterrestrial race like the Sirius or Bosnia in location?
All humans have connections to extraterrestrial races. The ones that are most common for humanity are the beings from the Sirius star system, the Pleiadian star system, the ancient Orion systems, Arcturus energy, hybrids, grays, Lyrans sometimes, tall whites, Andromeda galaxy, so on and so forth, plus several others we're not allowed to discuss. But all humans to varying degrees and at different moments have stronger or weaker connections that they download information and experience from to all of these different ET races that are involved with the evolution of Earth.
Okay, thank you. And so do I have any extended family members on the other side who are, whom I might meet at some point?
Yes, you all have soul family members that are non-physical.
Okay, so that when open contact happens, we get to meet them. Is that?
You're talking about extraterrestrials, you're talking about spirits. Because when you say family members on the other side, it means spirits.
Extraterrestrials.
Yes.
Like extraterrestrial, like people.
You may meet some of your extraterrestrial counterparts when open contact occurs, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. And another one is about the Judeo-Christian culture. I think you spoke about the Merovingian bloodline. Are they still around?
They are. It goes all the way back to the idea of the Anunnaki bloodlines. So it still exists in many individuals. It exists in all of you to some degree. Some individuals, some strains, some cultures have a little bit more of it, more direct route to it than others, but it exists in all of you.
Okay. What, with regards to the wars that are, a lot of divisions that we see today, and also, with regards steps or methods do you recommend to resolve many of these clashes or conflicts and, and the climate as a whole for the earth? Like, what do you recommend the best path? What course of action do you think we should, both as individuals and as a collective?
It is very important to let go of fear-based beliefs, negative beliefs, to have understanding and compassion for each other, that each of you walk a different path for a good reason, that there isn't just one way to do things, that there are several ways to do things, as indicated by the number of individual paths that exist, that it all leads to the same place, it all leads home, it all leads to the same source, it all comes from the same source, and to let go of the idea that you have the only truth, the only perspective that counts, but to understand and validate the individual differences among all of you to create true unity, true harmony.
But when people give you opinions or truths per se, so how do you settle, or how do you so is it like is it completely subject to what works for each individual, or is there an ideal path which would, works best for most people? Because if
This is why we give
agree on.
This is why we give you the formula. And the only reason most people don't agree is because they're too caught up in their own belief system and not really looking at the fundamental reasons why those beliefs exist. Once you examine those beliefs and let go of the ones that are truly no longer relevant for you, truly not representative of your core frequency, there will be no disagreement. There will be validation of the differences, and the differences will be seen in a different light. And they will be seen as different ways to reach the same source. So you have to let go of the fear-based and negative beliefs to see it that way.
Okay. So that's part of how we end up activating many of our genetic markers.
By following the formula, you raise your vibration. By raising your vibrational frequency, you activate the genetic markers that are relevant for you at this time to allow for the expansion of consciousness.
Thank you. And finally, do you have any personal advice for me as an individual, like what I should do, what path I should take, or
Follow the formula.
with regards to
Follow the formula
Okay.
as precisely as
Thank
possible,
you.
because you are unique, and therefore you have your way of expressing your passion and acting as a living example to others of how they can do so for themselves as well. So just by following the formula precisely, then you will be doing everything you can possibly do to serve humanity, which will then in turn serve you.
I like when I follow the formula at many points, I encounter divisions. I mean, not divisions, but how do I say, difference of opinion and difference of interest when it comes to language and how we communicate. Is there at some point where those get resolved?
Absolutely. Because again, when you raise your frequency, you become more and more empathic and telepathic, and you know what each other are thinking without necessarily using the languages. The languages will start to fall away when you allow yourselves to identify and feel what others are feeling, to relate to it, to understand it, to have compassion for it. When you fall in love with one another, you will speak a different language. Does that help you?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we thank you.
Yes,
Aveo.
absolutely.
Good
Thank
day.
you so much. Aveo. Good day. See you, Bashar.
Hi, Bashar. I have a question about an experience that I had. It was kind of like a dream, but it felt real, where aliens came into my house and asked me where I had gotten a big black cube that was sitting on my dining room table. I didn't know what it was or where it came from, and I told them that, and they said that I had wished for it when I was younger. And they mentioned a song that I used to sing from my favorite Disney movie. And then they took me out the window with them. And I also felt this buzzing and vibration in the back of my head. I was just wondering if you could give me any information on that, or if you knew. I'm really curious as to what the black box was, because they said I wished for it, and I'm not really sure. I'm trying to figure out what it is. So thank you.
It is the truth about your being and your connection to them and your participation in the hybridization agenda. It was put into the black box so that it would open at the time when it was important for you to remember. It was hidden away until such time as it is important for you to remember your participation in the hybridization agenda. And what you experienced was a memory, not a dream. The buzzing is the effect of transitioning to a different vibrational reality. That's how your body interprets the change in frequency from one reality to another. It's not uncommon for people to experience that in having encounters that shift you to a different reality. It is often accompanied by a vibrational sound.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day, good day.
Bashar, I feel like the language as we use it here has no adequate words to express how grateful I am for this opportunity of this exchange. And I would just like to say, with the words that I do have, thank you so much to you, to Darryl, and all the people behind the scenes who make this production and make this interaction possible.
It is our passion and our pleasure to do so, and it is our deep appreciation for the co-creation of this interaction to you.
Thank you. So I I knew that I have just very little time with you today. And I was wondering, if synchronicity will show me what kind of questions I should ask. And then yesterday, I saw a huge Dalmatian dog in front of my house, which is quite rare because it's not a dog race that is common here where I live. And I thought, okay, now I got the clue. And the reason why I won this raffle was a dream. I dreamt about the baby that was dressed in a blue overall. It looked to me like a few months old, but it said something that was so funny that my husband and I laughed really, this heartfelt laugh that you don't get often. And I asked it, how come you're so eloquent and so small? And he said something that I can't remember. And then I said, how old are you? And he said, 13 years. And I thought, how come he's so small? This can't be. When I woke up, I thought, wait a minute, this speech pattern that the baby had, this is Bashar, or his people talk like that. I remembered a study that was done with Darryl where they studied the content of the information that he was giving when he's channeling you. And I thought, okay, that has to do something with Bashar, this whole dream. And I thought, okay, what happened 13 years ago? I have no idea. And then I looked back at my dreams and I realized that 14 months ago, I had another dream where I was in a blue tube, again, this same blue, this eclectic blue, and I was talking with an ET. And this tube was like a frequency protector. So I was safe from the frequency that the ET was emitting, and we were so able to have a conversation. But I was still in this blue-black tube. And we were talking about Croatia or Dalmatia, hence the dog, yes. who I thought is the sign that I should be talking about that. And because I was clearly agitated in the dream, but in a positive sense during the dream, my husband woke me up because he was thinking I'm struggling. And then I lost the conversation and I was thinking, oh no, the ETs will think I'm so rude. I just disappeared without saying goodbye or something. And I have no idea what was spoken about, but I know it was about Dalmatia. So maybe you can shed some light on that.
First and foremost, do you remember what the child said that had you laughing?
No, unfortunately not.
All right. Remember that you are part of the hybridization program. You understand this?
I understand it since the 25th of March this year.
All right. Well, the child was a hybrid child. It wasn't me. It is a hybrid child that is connected to you.
Okay.
So, yes?
Does my husband also have hybrid children?
You both do, yes. Your genetics have been used, both of you, in the hybridization program. The idea is that the child is awakening within you more understanding, more expansion of consciousness, because again, the age of 13 is the symbol of transformation, the symbol of change, the symbol of letting go of the old ways and beginning the new ways, the symbol of a new cycle. So in that transformation, you are awakening to your participation, to the realization of your participation in the hybridization program. And this can carry you forward as an energy, as a momentum, into further exploration and further understanding of the role you can play in your area, in helping with the awakening, by being a living example of following the formula, following your passions, living your joys, living your dreams, acting through them in a way that allows others to see that they can do so as well. Do you understand?
I do.
So, much of the conversation that you are having in those encounters were taking place in a slightly altered reality. And the idea of the blue is a vibration that was acting as a buffer for the vibration of the ET, so you would not be overwhelmed. The idea then is to live up to the frequency that represents your higher self, your soul? And in what ways, I'm asking you, are you able to do that on your planet? How can you be of service to humanity by acting on your passions?
I think by what comes to mind, the first thing that comes to mind is that I used to be working as a counselor,
Yes.
and I have overcome a lot of physical challenges, health challenges, and all
right.
kinds of challenges. And I think this is an example that no matter what happens, I can still stay in a positive state, irrespective of.
You can transform. You can transform whatever it is and turn it into a lesson that expands your soul.
Yes.
So why is it that you used to be a counselor?
Because right now I'm a student again. I'm studying meditation. I want to become a meditation teacher.
All right. And so this is exciting to you, yes?
No.
No.
Not 100%. Not 100%. I have to tell you, since I was informed that I want this interaction with you, I had another dream that really turned my life upside down. And would you permit me now to tell you the dream?
Briefly, yes.
Yes. So I had a dream that I was waiting for a bus, and next to me was a man in a wheelchair, and he wanted to go onto the bus, but took my luggage. And I said, "Sir," he was an army veteran, and I said, "Sir, this is my luggage." And then because I was pulling him back, he couldn't enter the bus. But because he was going forward towards the bus, I look at the bus and I see several mantis being standing on the bus. And I'm intrigued, benevolently intrigued. And I say to him, "Oh, look, there are mantis." And he said, "Oh, now I really have to get onto that bus." And the bus was going over a bridge from small city to big city. And the mantis were so alert. They were looking into the direction of where the bus was about to drive. And the air was filled with this alertness. You could cut it with a knife. That's how it felt to me. And I was thinking, okay, I'll go too. And then when I woke up, I asked my husband, "What do you know about the mantis?" And he said, "Not much." And I said, "I know nothing. I've heard the word, but I knew nothing." And then I started researching, and since then, I'm still grappling to fit it all together.
All right.
I read that they're connected with the Sasani, and I was thinking
they are connected to the hybridization program. They are the overseers.
Exactly. If somebody had asked me just 3 weeks ago, "Do you want to learn more about the mantis?" I would have politely said, "No, thank you," because I thought I'm not interested at all in anything insect. And now I think, oh my God, I must be somehow connected with the hybridization program. Otherwise, I wouldn't be dreaming so rapidly after.
All right. The symbology is mixed up with an actual presentation on a slightly different level of reality of getting on a ship with the mantises, and the idea of the veteran who is in a wheelchair grabbing your bags is an indication that it is important to let go of old baggage that holds you back in order for you to move forward and join on that ship with the mantises to go from a smaller reality to a larger reality, which is what the bridge represents, going from a smaller city to a larger city. So it's about really letting go of the old baggage, because that baggage holds you back, and allowing yourself to be free enough to move forward, to get on the bus, so to speak, to go in that direction, and to expand your consciousness. Does that help you?
Yeah, that does help me. How is the number 55 and 11 connected to the mantis? I had another dream that 55 is mantis and 11 is Sasani. What does this mean?
5 is the number of humanity. The idea is that you create synchronistic numbers for yourself to let yourself know, as like road signs, when you are in the correct vibration to move forward. to come from, to act from in your life. So all the numbers are basically representative of connecting to the one, but expressing it through your human self in a way that is more representative of your higher mind, of your soul, the one.
Okay. And is the flower iris somehow connected to any of the hybrid children?
Yes, it is not only the name of a hybrid child, the idea of the iris is that which opens up wider to allow more light in.
Yes.
It is not just the idea of the flower. It is more the idea of the iris that opens in your eye, the iris that opens in a camera lens to allow more light in. So open up and let more light in. Let go of the old baggage that's holding you down.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Does this serve you?
That serves me very much. Thank you.
All right. We thank you. Aveo.
Aveo.
Hey Bashar, this is your friend Teresa. Back in 1995, someone asked you about a race that he was calling the unseen ethereals because of their very pleasant ethereal aspect, as opposed to the fearful experience he was having with the Greys. You told him that that was a race you would call the founders, and that he was experiencing only one part of their nature, only the ethereal part of their nature, and that there was much more to them. And I'm wondering if you could talk more about the founders now. Have things changed enough since 1995 that you can give us more information on the founders? Thanks, Bashar.
No. However, there may be more about that group that will be presented within 3 to 5 of your years, not necessarily from us, but more information about them within 3 to 5 of your years, coming from a different source.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have so many great questions from our viewers.
All right.
Okay, and the first one has to do with the handout. What happens if we do a misstep on one of these steps? Like if we look into a conspiracy theory or get into some religious spiritual argument with someone. If we notice it, learn from how it feels and adjust, are we back on track, so to speak? Is there anything more we need to do if that happens?
No. If you learn from it, then if you go back into the instruction in the way it was delivered, then you are back on track. So learn a lesson, learn why you may have desire to engage in that way, and then get back into the vibrational state as encouraged by the step. And realize that it's not necessary to venture that way again. Unless you do, then again, learn from it, learn why you chose to go in that direction. This can be used, like a lot of other things, to determine what your belief systems are and why you choose to do what you do. So if you use it that way, then you are learning, you are growing. But again, the idea is to realize that there is no need to do it, and that following the instruction more precisely will be to your advantage in creating the vibrational frequency that will bring you into alignment with contact and the Interstellar Alliance, if that is what you prefer.
Okay. And in step one, you said not to engage in discussions about conspiracy theories in general. Given that the UFO cover-up has been considered as conspiracy theory, but is an actual conspiracy, would engaging in conversation about it be considered going against the rule of step one?
No, because it is beyond theory at this point. There are too many witnesses, too many sources, too many verifications from many different people. And therefore, it is out of the category of theory. So you can research, you can discuss. It has been suppressed and covered up. At this point, it is relatively obvious that there is enough research, enough validation from so many different sources of different types that you can consider it to be something that is real.
And does watching videos or stories about true or not true conspiracy theories and stories go against the interstellar experiment? What I mean is, I enjoy watching these forms of entertainment without being emotionally affected.
If it is research, if you can remain neutral in observing all of the input from those particular presentations, then it is research. But the idea is to allow yourself to pay attention to whether you are becoming caught up in it once again, if you ever were, and to remain neutral in the observation of those things so that you don't necessarily develop a strong opinion in one direction or another about what is true about them or not. If it is too challenging for you to not form an opinion, to not have strong perspectives on what it is you are watching, what it is you are absorbing, then again, it would be best for now to back off and remain neutral and maybe not absorb as much of the information. But if you can remain completely neutral, completely objective, and allow it all to simply be information for the purpose of research, then it is fine. But you have to pay attention honestly as to whether that's what you're doing or not.
Okay, and because you will be discussing in step 3 writing letters to specific individual officials around the globe regarding disclosure of UFO contact, and in doing so providing specific wording for us to use, I would appreciate if you could also give us instructions for non-native speakers of English. Is it okay to translate the wording you provided into our own native language and use it in whatever ways you may suggest? And is it okay to share what I have translated with the people of my own country who would also like to join the social experiment, so they can also send letters to specific individuals?
Yes, that is fine. However, one suggestion we would have would be, don't necessarily rely on your own translation unless you are a professional interpreter, a professional translator who is absolutely certain that your translation is accurate in terms of the intention and meaning behind the words that are delivered in English. So you can translate it into different languages, but for those who are not proficient at the translation, then we would suggest that you find someone who is and ask them if the translation, or ask them to translate it in a way that captures fully the exact meaning of the original language. So if you can do that, and you can know that it is accurately representative, then that is fine.
And also, one question that came up, some individuals may feel anxiety about being perceived as some sort of target or part of some conspiracy or something in their land. And what are some suggestions for dealing with anxiety about, in a sense, sticking out or making yourself, I guess you'd say, a target or something like that?
Well, this simply goes back to some of the original ideas we have discussed for many years. You have to examine your belief system and find out why you are perceiving this in a fear-based or negative way. If the idea is too challenging for you, then as we have said, it's up to you to decide not to be a part of the social experiment. As the word implies, it is a social experiment, which means it requires interaction with society. So if you find that too challenging and are unable to let go of any fear-based or negative beliefs you have surrounding your participation in this social experiment, then don't participate. Otherwise, get in touch with your belief systems as to why you believe that it would be a negative thing to move forward in this way, and learn to let them go. Learn to let those beliefs go. Learn to transform them into something more positive so that you can be coming from your self-empowerment, your indestructible core. But again, as always, it is up to you to decide whether this is something that you are capable of participating in or not.
And also the idea of, I guess, thousands of letters going out all over the planet. What do you anticipate would be the reaction from administrative levels of our planet to that kind of thing, onslaught happening?
One particular reaction would be that they understand that there is organization to these thoughts, that there is unification to these thoughts, that there is similarity beyond borders, beyond cultures. This is something that can awaken them to realize that this is an important issue to look at, an important issue to address. Beyond that, there is no insistence or expectation, but we know that that recognition will occur in many individuals when they see a massive amount of individuals, regardless of country, regardless of background, regardless of other belief systems, unified in the idea of requesting the release of this information.
Okay. And when you talk about the hybridization agenda by the Greys, it sounds like humanity agreed to it in some higher level, that the Earth becoming the sixth hybrid race is a part of that agenda, and this has already been decided. If humanity on a conscious level became aware of this as a fact, it would have been looked at as a silent, covert invasion and not something positive or beneficial. I suppose this is why it is being carried out in secret from the majority of the population. How would you explain this conundrum? Is the slow drip disclosure a part of making the general population accustomed to the idea? Would not carrying out this agenda result in humanity going the path of the negative timeline the Greys experienced?
No.
And without white lies, how would you explain it if you had an opportunity to have a transmission that the entire Earth could hear?
Again, the idea is that understanding your connection to your galactic family, awakening to your true potential, awakening to the agreements that you have made for the evolution of humanity, would do exactly the opposite of allowing you to go down the negative path that the Greys took. It would allow you more opportunity to choose the path that you prefer in a positive way. The idea of secrecy is, as you say, euphemistically, a kind of drip system that allows humanity to get used to the idea, but it is also what gives humanity the time to awaken and remember that they made this agreement, so that it doesn't feel forced, so that it doesn't feel like an invasion, as you say, so that you can take responsibility for the part you are playing in having made an agreement from a higher level to aid and assist in the evolution of humanity in this format, in this way. And it is the acceptance of this responsibility and the awakening to the memory of the choice that you made as a collective that would allow you to be able to choose a more positive path and not go down the path that the Greys took in their reality.
And so the idea of this being a timeline for humanity, it's just one timeline. So of course there will be those individuals who would not want to participate in this direction for humanity.
Yes, and they will have their own reality. They will move on and proceed as if this didn't happen. There are many versions of Earth and many different scenarios that you can navigate to that will fit what you prefer based on the belief system you hold to be true.
So someone who's highly focused on the Earth and ecological issues and wanting the planet to become more and more beautiful and not with conflict, a peaceful, wonderful place, heaven on earth, so to speak. They can have that experience without becoming part of the hybridization timeline. Is that correct?
Yes, of course. Again, there is a kind of mass consensus in large part with humanity to have agreed to the idea of aligning with open contact and aligning with the idea of the hybridization program, aligning with the vibration of the Interstellar Alliance. Obviously, what we are suggesting in these steps are the steps that are necessary to align with that particular Earth reality for those who have chosen it. But yes, of course, there is always the availability of other versions of parallel realities, parallel versions of Earth, that don't necessarily include what it is that we are suggesting in these steps. And that is why we tell you it's up to you to decide to participate or not, so that you can feel it out for yourselves as to what kind of reality you have chosen to prefer, you have chosen to be a part of, what group you have chosen to navigate to different Earths with. However, the vast majority of individuals who are exploring the idea of the expansion of consciousness on your planet at this time, again, not that all of them have to have chosen this, but the vast majority, as we perceive it, of those who are exploring the expansion of consciousness have agreed to participate in this particular form of humanity's evolution. And those are the ones we are speaking to. And only those.
Okay. I have an image in my mind, this person is saying, in which they perceive all the people on Earth watching the news on their devices and watching live, like what happens on New Year's with the countdown and fireworks. I see the governments of Earth declare that they have opened their borders and burned their weapons. Every time I get that image, I get excited. I want to know if that image will happen on Earth, and if so, will it happen before we join the Interstellar Alliance or after? Is that something that has already happened in another version of Earth?
It is something that exists in many other versions of Earth, and you have to decide exactly whether or not you are navigating in that direction. There is a high probability that many of you are. The idea of such a thing would happen after open contact, but it would have to happen before you are officially joined to the Interstellar Alliance. So in between the idea of contact and the idea of actually joining the Interstellar Alliance is where something like that would most likely fall.
Okay. Now this person is asking about the formula. And they say they live by the formula, but they can't seem to make it work.
Then they don't live by the formula.
Excuse me?
Then they do not live by the formula.
Right. They're saying that I was raised with beliefs like work before play, you have to earn your fun, life is hard, you can have too much of a good thing. I find it incredibly difficult to find and change the belief systems behind these. How can I learn to feel joy and passion and be sure that I am living the formula as a self-organizing principle?
Well, again, you have to actually live the formula, which you're not doing. because you're not allowing yourself to redefine some of those belief systems in certain ways that serve you. For example, when you talk about the idea that you have to earn the ability to be happy, you do not have to do that. You have to understand that joy is a natural state that belongs in your spirit, that is an expression of spiritual existence. You have to understand that the definitions you have are not working for you. You have to understand there are other definitions that would work for you and be more in alignment with the idea of what the formula is telling you, of what the formula is saying and how it works. So you have to match the definitions you have with the way that the formula has been described to you as working for you to your advantage. If you hold on to definitions that are contradictory to it, then yes, you are not using the formula. It will not work because they are of a different frequency, of a different vibration than the vibrational frequency of actually following and acting on the formula in the way that it has been delivered to you. So examine these definitions in a way that allows you to reinvent them, to understand that you don't have to hold on to them in the way that you have vocalized them. The idea is that, yes, of course, there will be challenges, but challenges are fun. Yes, of course, you have to take physical action, but that does not have to be a struggle. It does not have to feel like, quote unquote, work in the negative sense. Of course, you are physical and will have to do things physically. But when you are going with the flow, when you are being your true self, then all the definitions that you are now saying that don't work for you can be rearranged and reinvented to understand how they can work for you, such as what I just delivered to you, what I just suggested. That work does not have to feel like a struggle, does not have to feel like an effort. There are certain kinds of tensions and pressures that are positive and creative. Again, you have to allow yourself to feel it that way. Because when you are being creative, when you are being yourself, again, of course, you will have challenges because challenges help you grow, help your soul grow, help your spirit grow. So the idea is that there will be a kind of pressure, a creative pressure there. But the pressure that you experience in a positive sense is not the same kind of pressure that you experience in a negative sense. The pressure you experience in a positive sense is a kind of energy momentum that encourages and urges you to move forward, to take action, to be yourself, to be centered, to be true to who you are. The kind of pressure that you experience in the negative sense is the kind that allows you to feel overwhelmed, that you're not doing enough, that things aren't good enough. The idea that you can have too much of a good thing is what sets up the negative pressure. Now, we understand that some of these phrases that exist on your planet are done to make sure that you don't become egotistical about it. That's really the reason that some of them exist, so that you can always have a check and balance system in case you are worried that you will become too egotistical, too out of integrity, too out of alignment. That's the only reason they exist. If you recognize them simply as a check and balance system that can be understood lightly, and you understand you're always willing to check in with yourself to make sure that you are remaining in alignment and always within your integrity, then it's all right from now and then to experience that you might step a little bit outside of it, because you know you will always bring yourself back into alignment by having that check and balance system. But the check and balance system is not meant to be a rigid shackle on you that prevents you from exploring, that prevents you from being yourself, that prevents you from knowing that happiness is your birthright. So you have to take these things that you have said, these admonitions, these phrases, these sayings, a little bit more lightly as a check and balance system, just to make sure that you're staying true to yourself and not see them as such a rigid set of rules that cannot be broken in any event for any reason whatsoever. Just keep them as an understanding that you are always willing to be aware of when you are in or out of balance, and you can move forward by acting on the formula in a freer way that allows you to know you will always pay attention to what you're doing. You will always ask why.